What up, gamers? We are back with some more modern action. I, of course, am NanMan over on NanMan's Nerd Corner, bringing you guys more commentary action every Monday and Thursday. And if you're a fan of grindy Magic, this is the match for you. You guys can see the timestamp. This one is a bit of a long one, and part of that is because we're playing Miracles versus Orzhov Blink. Now, if you are not familiar with either of these decks, let's break them down. Let's talk about them a bit as we kind of get into this match. This is, of course, a best of 3 recorded up at our LGS, known as Comic Kung Fu. So if you're ever in the area and want to play some Modern on our weekly Modern adventures and you have a chance to be on camera, come on out. Play some games with us. Now, Orzhov Blink has been adjusting, changing, slight variations and tweaks as players have been trying to find the best Ketramos deck, and it's pretty much solid, locked in on the Orzhov side of things, right? You're not quite doing the death and taxes style of play, but you are doing the death and taxes type play, right? It's going to be interesting to see how things continue to go, because it is one of the best decks in the format, at least in those kind of top couple of decks that exist out there, where you're blinking cards in and out of existence, getting extra value off of them, grinding with the best of them. It does very well against other creature-based decks. This time around, the deck is not fighting against any other creature-based deck, because it's Azorious, Blue-White, Miracles. Brain Surge was printed in Modern Horizons 3. Jace is legal, so there are some brainstorm-like effects that exist. So the goal is to be able to rely on Terminus. There's a couple different blue-white decks that exist. We've seen some energy packages. We've seen some players that are experimenting with some shenanigans, utilizing some artifacts and recasting things again and again and again. But this time we're not utilizing some artifacts to be able to do that. We are just kind of straight up blue-white package, Planeswalker control almost. But here's our first Ketramos coming out here. We stop the doggo from being able to get some blinking types effects, because we don't, get the aggro. The dog's annoying, all right? It causes problems. Blinking out blockers, it blinks out your own creatures, so you can be able to get added value. Like, it's scary. All right. So Ketramos can't attack or block unless there are 7 more things in exile. So that's where you are running things like Relic of Progenitus and these other cards, so you can really guarantee getting stuff into exile. So you are going to see a bit more of the basic lands here. Oh, there we go. Jace coming out. So most of the time we see players just immediately start going for the Brainstorm, that -0. This time around, we're going to just kind of bounce it back to our opponent's hand. Because there's no creatures or threats out at the moment, we can kind of get away with, the delay tactic. Maybe we can just slow down our opponent a bit. If they take the turn off to recast it, okay, that's fine by us. They still can't attack, so we're kind of left in a pretty solid spot here. But yeah, there we go. Thoughtseize coming out. Going to strip away some cards. Of course, will cost us 2 life to be able to do this. And Solitude. Yeah, that's going to get grabbed there. Lorien Revealed and the Brain Surge that we were talking about. So a lot of kind of draw effects, but not really a lot of payoff there. Basically, the scariest thing was the Solitude, and with a creature-based deck like the Orzhov Blink, with the Ketramos that we're trying to resolve, we don't want that to get exiled, so that makes sense. But missing a land drop there. So now we're in that kind of, all right, what do we do to stop our opponent from running away with card advantage there? Actually, Fate Sealing here. So we're going to look at the top card of our opponent's library, either keep it on top or put it on the bottom. So this allows us to kind of, because our opponent missed a land drop, that's the perfect opportunity to take advantage of starting to uptick the Jace there and get more information and plan for the next couple of turns. We could have Brainstorm, but because we have a Brain Surge already in hand, we can kind of get away with it just fine. Now, we are having our little discussion about kind of the land choices. We've got that sweet Plains from the convention in a box that came out. There's Ketramos coming out again. And we're going to attempt to do some opping here. Let's see if we draw into anything. Now, there are a lot of those types of effects. Ops, brain surges, things like that to draw additional cards on your opponent's turn because there could be a terminus. There could be a reprieve on top, and we're just in the delay game. So just like continuing to just slow things down here. Missing a land drop. The hand is like pure gas here. Like we've got a Bowmaster, we've got a Relic of Progenitus, so we've got a lot of tools available to us, but we're really just trying to get a Ketramos and then profit from there. But we're gonna start stripping away. Bang, bang, bang. Now I know I'm gonna mess up life totals. There is the silent clearing that will cost us life if we are casting it using resources. We're both gonna get planes here, but yeah, look at the suite. Like I have not, this was my first time seeing the what was that name of that set, the race car set, the Kaladesh set. I don't know whatever it's called, with the full art lands with like the racing scenes depicted on them. I don't know, it's really cool. I like every time I see basic lands, I'm always just like excited about them. I think because of just like the space at which you could you know put some sweet art is awesome. You don't have to worry about the text unless you're a fan of the full text basic lands, which I don't know. I'm not one to yuck a yum, but those are ones that I'm like, I'm never putting those in any of my decks, and I did not purchase that secret lair. I love me some secret lair basics and things like that. Very specific ones I will pull the trigger on, but for the most part I don't tend to pull the trigger on basic land secret layers. I've gotten some good ones though, but most of those are in specific commander decks, or like my Garth deck in particular. I've got some really cool. I've got the heavy metal basic lands. Then of course I've got lots of different ones there, but there's so many great basic land arts out there, so it's like there's plenty to choose from, not even having to worry about secret layers. But yeah, so now Ketramos resolves. We're getting set up with a lot of this land go, and I love me some land go magic. I know not everybody is a fan. They like the more exciting, faster pace. Let's go some aggro. I've been practicing and playing some different decks on MTGO. Today I was testing out some Tron stuff and got hit with a Vengevine deck that was like, here's turn 2. I'm going to be able to, swing in for 10 damage to you there. And then it's like, okay, I guess I am now going to die next turn unless I top deck something that can stop me from dying. Nope, I did not get the All Is Death. I guess I die. All right, big Teferi coming out, and it's the sweet white border. Ooh, talking about the convention in the box. This is one of those, of course, that special mystery booster 2. I have one, not opening it. I have not cracked any packs from it, but I saw a lot of the sweet white border cards, and I love the way that the white border looks, especially in this deck. So I made sure to pick up the Teferis, starting to get the Narset, stuff like that. So Overlord of the Baelmerk coming out here as the impending. So if you do the impending, it enters with time counters on it, and it is a enchantment. It is not a creature. It specifically says that it isn't a creature until the last time counter is removed. Now, when it's on the stack, it is an enchantment creature, so you can do some shenanigans and interacting. So we do see an ephemerate, exile target creature you control and return to the battlefield under its owner's control. We have a little bit of a mess up here, because I just was like, oh yeah, exile target permanent. I'm like, blink, flicker effects, cool. We're blinking this out of existence. Can't actually target there unless I'm reading it wrong. We played it that we could because, I'm still getting used to fighting against the Orzhov Blink deck, and, it's a very good deck. So there are plenty of other blink effects like Flicker Wisp and the doggo the corgi that we got rid of, the Felia, right? There's so many other blink type effects that you can be able to blink. Ephemerate specifically blinks creatures. So, it does happen in that instance here, but I don't know. Mistakes are made. Mistakes are always made in Magic. And that's part of the fun of learning and sitting here and putting some of these games on camera so we can get these discussions going and have these conversations and let people learn from maybe potential mistakes, or catch me and go, nope, Nan, actually that does work the way that this is supposed to work. Especially when we get some of those like hardened scale matches and like understanding the nuances and the ins and outs of certain things, where it goes, oh yeah, that does work that way, or I didn't realize that is how that trigger works or how that sequencing works. So I've been having so much fun playing the blue-white control stuff, though. You all saw me rock out with the Jeskai control for a while. Jeskai twin, is it twin? I'll probably play some Murktide again. I need to pull the trigger and pick up my Kaidos, because I still have, I never picked up the Oculuses. A lot of players that were playing Murktide or Frogtide at the shop pivoted into the Oculus build. I never did. So really, I just need to pick up the 2 Kaidos, and my list is ready to go for that version. So one of these days I will pick it up. Probably, I don't know, end of May or end of April, beginning of May. I also need to pick up other cards to get, lots. There's always things to pick up. All right, but I'm not playing the Murktide deck currently, so I'm like, it's in my quiver. Which, if you have not picked up quivers or not a fan of quivers, it's especially in the modern format, it's you might not bring multiple decks with you to the LGS like I do. I bring like 10 decks with me in case someone wants to borrow it, or if I just, I'm feeling like, yeah, let's roll the dice and see what we get. That's one of the options. But it's great because you get to just put a bunch of stuff in your quiver. Like, here's my modern deck. Here's the dice I need. Here's my, my notepad, I could put my playmat in there, and we got a wizard battle happening. So Relic of Genesis is going to try to get used. Brain Surge is going to get activated to try to draw 4 cards, which forces the Bowmaster to come out and try to deal a lot of damage there, and that's going to get hit with the Spell Snare. So great little stack filled up there. And guess what the top card is? The Terminus. So that's one of those things. If you are going to pick up the Miracle deck, on these moments where you're brain surging or opting or doing things like that, especially brain surging, you're casting it on your opponent's turn, go slow, check the top card as you draw it for that moment right there where the Terminus is going to resolve, or at least be cast here, and just put all of those creatures on the bottom. Now, things might be looking differently if that Overlord of the Bailmark, it was an enchantment still, but it all more or less evens out. So yeah, this is all in response to the Relic. Yeah, Relic is able to resolve. Our Orzhov Blink player really trying to, now they have the Thought Seed, so they're doing it like, the order at which they did things is fine. I don't think that they anticipated all of the reactions to things there. And with the counter spell here, that would have probably got used anyway, so it's not like we would have gotten information. But, sequencing orders, you didn't expect the Relic to be the point of contention and fight. So that's maybe why you didn't do the Thoughtseize first. It's all good, right? It all works out in the end. All right, Teferi and Jace are BFFs in this deck. Jace, of course, helps us with the brainstorming stuff, gets us set up, gets us the information we need, potentially allows us to put Terminuses on top of our library. I think that once you have that advantage, it's okay to get away with not brainstorming certain turns and do the fate sealing like that we're doing here. Gives us more information, helps us get,
as much information as possible against our opponents. I mean, I'm a fan of Lantern Control. I've played the deck before. You know, I'll probably play it a couple of times on stream coming up here. We're going to get ready to start doing some more content for you guys with MTGO and just sort of starting to put together a bunch of lists. We'll do some kind of voting soon. If you guys want to catch the streams for that, you know, of course, all the links and all that stuff is down below for you guys. As speaking of other links, we've got, of course, any of the decks that you see featured on the channel or featured in the gameplay. If you want to be able to see, you can head over to our Moxfield link or just leave a comment on the video itself and be like, hey, I want to see what you have for a Orzhov Blink list. I want to see your Miracle list. I want to see what Hollow One decks that you have put up on the channel. You know, show me what Tron lists are running around, what Urza lists are going on, and we'll pass along those links for you. But yeah, still battling it out. Thoughtseize coming down again. Doing a Brain Surge. So Brain Surge, kind of double duty here of that kind of, let's get some resources. Maybe we can respond to this. But also, we protect ourselves and hide some information from our opponent. What we might think that they would steal, we can put that on top. Thoughtseize will resolve, and look at all of that removal. So, second Jace, Cryptic Command, Terminus, 2 paths, a land, and an op. So, yeah, Cryptic Command makes a lot of sense to grab here. It's the only sort of counter spell that exists in this hand. We know that we're not keeping a creature. We can hardcast Terminus. We can. There's 2 paths, an op, a Jace, but really the problem is Teferi is sitting at a pretty healthy loyalty. Let's do some uptick in. Yeah, 8 is the scary one. 8 is our ultimate stage, so we have to find an answer for Teferi now. That's kind of where we're at. We're in danger zone. This is where, like, the alarm bells are going off. Another Fate Seal going to get activated for Jace. And we're just kind of trying to close out the game. That's the thing with, like, the Planeswalker control element of the Miracle list. It does have some fragility with it, especially against the aggro decks, especially against the Hollow One stuff. Like, those decks can just kind of get out of control very fast. If we're playing against, like, a tempo-based deck or a grindy deck, that's where Miracles is thriving. We're seeing it right here of, like, all right, Orzhov is out. Get some triggers, draw some cards, lose a life. I wonder, are we at 7 yet? I mean, there's a couple exiled already. At least 2, but we just pop the relic, though, and we could attack. Not this turn, though. We're stuck with a bunch of Fatal Pushes in hand, though. So that's what we talked about. Is like, this Blink deck is so good against other creature-based decks, other templates. Like, if you're fighting a Hollow One or something like that, you're fine, right? You feel pretty good about the tools that you have available. But we talked about how we're not keeping any creatures, and here's one of the reasons why Path to Exile is going to get used. Says, hey, let's also pop your land, and I'll let you get 2 lands. Here's a path that'll get utilized as well. You're at capacity for basics, though. The Miracle player is already capped out. We're seeing the Blink player looks through. That's the last little bit. Did you guys catch that? At the top of the Blink player's deck. No spoilers for those that might have missed it. It's a, you know, nice little one of fun of in there that I really like. I think that's a really cool card. No spoilers, though. It may or may not get cast this game. All right, so what tools do we got? Anything? I mean, it's at this point, too, like, it's game 1. We know we're pretty much shut out. Taking a little bit longer here to get information about what tools are available is important. Like, look at the deck size. That's the size of the Miracle Player's deck. So like it is like nothing. All right, here we go. Ultimate Teferi. We get an emblem. This is our emblem. Whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent and opponent controls. Why did we say that Jace is best friend? Well, I'm going to do it 0, draw 3 cards, and then we could play the second Jace and draw 3 cards again and just make sure our opponent has nothing. Yeah, I said, look, I had all 3 of these fatal pushes, so I was doing a whole lot of nothing there. And look at these worthless cards. Yeah, that's tough. So yeah, if you're still with us, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not. Again, we've got gameplay every Monday and Thursday for you to be able to enjoy. And as we get closer to summer, the Saturday content shall resume. But let's jump into it. We know that our Orzhov Blink player is starting things off. How aggressive are they going? Okay, surveil land. Most of the time, there is no turn 1 play for an Orzhov Blink player with the exception of Disruption. Thoughtseize, Inquisitions, things like that you have to be prepared for. So you can kind of be like, all right, I can take a turn off to be able to do that. Now, 2 drops are where they thrive, right? We saw the Bowmasters, we saw the Doggo that they've got available, Felia, the Exorbitant Shepherd, the Corgi. They've got White Orchid Phantoms available to them. They've got Emperor of the Bones, right? They've got a lot of powerful 2 drops available. Not really many players are running Aether Vials anymore to do some flashing in and do things like that. There are some lists still experimenting with it, but we don't have to worry so much about that in this particular matchup. Also, the number, how many White Orchid Phantoms are you running? How many, Emperor of Bones, how many Felias, like where you are in the number count is also an interesting thing to consider. So looks like we've got both Bowmaster and Emperor of the Bones in the debate phase about how we want to set ourselves up. Emperor of the Bones is really useful for just starting to get things in exile, right? If there's fetch lands or things like that, that just helps build us up because, remember, Ketramos can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. So chipping away at things works out really nicely. Planes coming down here. So that's that next little bit of sigh of relief if you're the Orzhov player or you're facing down a control player and they don't have double blue on turn 2. You kind of are like, oh, all right, I don't have to worry about a counterspell. That's what that means, right? You counterspells double blue. Now, we did see a reprieve game 1. We don't know how many are running in the list, so you kind of are thinking like, all right, let's see what we can get away with here. Ketramos is a nice drop down. Move to combat. I will exile nothing. There's nothing left to exile, but swing for 2. Celestial Purge. Exiling the god. The player next to us was joking, hey, that's not a Blood Moon. You're supposed to save Celestial Purge for the Blood Moon effects. But you can exile target black or red permanents. Works out very well. I have 2 in the sideboard of my Miracle list. I might even up that count, to be honest. I don't know. With the amount of Hollow 1 players that were at our shop last week, we had 3 Hollow 1 players at the shop. Slightly different builds between all 3 of them, but still, just like the explosiveness of the decks, it's like, oh, I might need even more tools to fight you. All right, Teferi's coming out here, do some bouncing, drawing, doing all that fun stuff. A lot of white sources here. Only 1 black source available to us. And we're going to do the Vindicate here. Kill the Teferi. We don't want to have to worry about not being able to cast things at instant speed. We want to be able to respond to a Brain Surge with a Bowmaster, so being able to get that off table is nice. Oh, did you see what the draw was? Oh my gosh, there's another one. Yeah, Obsidat, the Ghost Council. All right. It's time. Emperor of the Bones is back. And there is the Brain Surge. If we had the Black Source, this would be the time to flash in the Bowmaster. Yeah, draw 4, put 2 on top. Brain Surge is sweet. The more that I cast it, the more fun that I have with this deck. Like, it's such a great setup, gather up resources. Like, I don't know. Instant speed, draw 4 cards, put 2 on top, set ourselves up. You know, we do have fetch lands. We do have island cycling effects, so we can really kind of put a stop to it. But we were able to draw into a counterspell, Spell Snare. Spell Snare is really good in this particular matchup because of the things like, you know, all these 2-drops that it's running. But we would probably love to have saved it for the Bowmaster, knowing that there are Bowmasters in the list. But for now, we'll make do with just kind of keeping our opponents off creatures. Oh, look at all the Flicker Wisp there. I always think Flicker Wisp has flash because I'm so used to older versions of, you know, Flicker Wisp style decks using Vial and just vialing it in and being like, yep, let's blink stuff. And I'm just like not used to that. So yeah, I guess, do you start jamming it now and just start getting a threat out and do some blinking of your lands here? So I don't know. I think I don't mind the Flicker Wisp coming in. You have 2 of them. You maybe get some more resources out of the Miracle player's hand, and you still have mana left up for a Bowmaster. Because I feel like doing the reactionary game like this just allows the Miracle player to continue to stay in control and dictate the flow of the game, where you really need to kind of grab on, and it really is that kind of race of resource depletion. You know, one of these times something is going to land and it's going to cause problems like Ketramos or something like that, and you'll be able to kind of get away with the game. But until then, it's a lot of that kind of sit and wait. And, a Field of Ruin makes this a little bit of a danger zone because we're going to pop and get rid of that. Go find a basic. I'll at least get a basic swamp off of it. Miracle player is going to go look, probably find basic. Yep, go for the basic plains. Yeah, I like that art for that swamp there. I want to say forest for some reason. You tell my brain's a little fried. I feel like that's kind of been the trend for the month of March and beginning of April, y'all, is my brain has been fried. But I appreciate you all sticking around and watching the content as we are continuing to grind out the modern format for you all to be able to enjoy. Got some plans and some things in mind for some more content for you this summer. Some hopefully exciting other gameplay stuff for y'all to be able to enjoy. There's also talks at our LGS about setting up and doing some more One Piece content. So we'll see. I enjoy the One Piece quite a bit. Maybe we'll start recording it and doing some commentary for it. It's so much, of a different beast to be able to do content for. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There it is, the Obsidat, the Ghost Council. Let's delay him. Reprieve coming down. Delay that guy for a turn and hope for the best. Draw a card. That's the scary mode. All right, like I said, if you like the kind of land go mode of this kind of shenanigans, this is the match for you. Plus, we get to see cards that we don't normally get to see, like Obsidian and Terminus and stuff like that. All right, Teferi is going to come out. We'll do some uptickies. Now, we have not done a Teferi Narset Days Undoing stuff yet. Right now, we've only got one Narset in the list of the Azorious Miracles because we've only got one whiteboard version right now. We're waiting for the other one to show up. Obstinate the Ghost Council. Drain and gain. Enters the battlefield. Gain 2. Your opponent loses 2. And then at the beginning of the end step, you get to exile it. And when you do, you return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next upkeep. And it has haste. So it's also a 5/5. It's really cool. I like this card a lot. But also, I was really getting into Magic around this time of the Return to Ravnica block. Coming off the Innistrad stuff and Return to Ravnica came out, I was playing Maze's End in Standard and having a blast with it. This was also the time where blue-white control was really powerful, right as we were getting into that Theros block time and people were doing the devotion stuff. So this is really like any Ravnica, especially Return to Ravnica cards. I'm have that special nostalgia place in my brain. Now I played, I guess when I started playing was like that end of the Rise of the Eldrazi right into the Innistrad stuff there of like, oh, cool, well, let's start picking up some of the stuff here and really get into Magic a little bit more. And it just kind of has continued since then. Played a lot of the kitchen table, during that time period as well, but definitely a lot more of the competitive stuff, especially Modern, as that format kind of grew and became the main focus, which, you guys have seen old footage when we were really starting to get in and doing the kind of crappy webcam recordings for the channels. It's nice that our camera quality has improved a little bit, stability-wise, lighting-wise. We're trying to improve things, but moving to discard and discarding a Terminus is a statement. I don't know. All right, Obsidian's going to blink in. We're going to be, of course, responding with a Orm's Chant kicked. Can't attack, can't cast spells. Still has the drain effect happening, so we still are worried about that. But nothing else can be done. Yeah, some lists are real high on the Orm's Chant. Right? Like four of and stuff like that. I guess it's one of those, like, blue-white control is in this sweet phase right now where players are trying to figure out, like, are you on the energy package or not? Part of it is depending on what your LGS looks like. Are you on the Icycron Scepter, like the artifact? Let me recast some annoying spells again and again and again. Are you on the Miracle list? So it's almost like there's 3 variations within the same deck. But we've seen that too with a lot of decks in Modern, right? Like the Hollow One list is another one that comes to mind where you're like, okay, are you on the Vengevine list? Are you on the mono red version of it? Like, are you on the food version of it? Are you just a Rakdos so you get access to Bowmasters? Like, where are you in this sphere of Hollow One decks? Right now, where are you within the sphere of, blue-white control? So it's very cool to be able to see that there are enough variations within lists. Same sort of deal, like Yawgmoth is pretty much like, here's Yawgmoth, but we our resident Yawgmoth player, she's developed this. Yeah, you could do this hybrid version of Yawgmoth, or you could do these versions of it. Or there's like the Samwise combo, which is like Yawgmoth adjacent but also being like its own separate thing. So I don't know. Modern is so great with the diversity. We are going to do another tier list, since we just had the ban list and things have basically stabilized at this point. So keep an eye out for that when we post that up in May or so. Ooh, White Orchid Phantom here. Let's do some blowing up of a non-basic land. So we'll target this. Get rid of this archive here. Respond to the trigger here. And let's do some opting. Scry. Hey, guess what our top card is? We already knew because we set it up. It's a Terminus. Let's put your Obsidian on the bottom. Let's put your White Orchid on the bottom. Now, the trigger is still going to go off. We're still going to lose that land. But great success. We did the delay tactic here. So those two go on the bottom. It's like, there's a Thoughtseize in hand. But again, if the Blink player had cast the Thoughtseize earlier, it wouldn't have, we weren't worried, right? We weren't worried about an op. So let's do some pinging. I like the Bowmaster here. Oh, we're just going to jam out both. Let's just keep the pressure going, huh? Ping, 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 ping. All right. I mean, we've done a lot of work as the Blink player. We've had a big explosive turn right there, but the Obsidian was really what did the work. So now we're kind of set. All right, a Terminus just went off, so maybe the coast is clear for us to kind of do some stuff, but big tap out here. Ooh, okay, 5 mana for a Solitude. We're just going to hard cast them. Let's exile this one. It says, I just want to confirm, are you exiling anything? Are you hard casting it? It's like, nope, we are going to do the hard casting here. I mean, that's one way to kind of help swing things a little bit more. Again, we talk about resource trading in this game, especially in this matchup when you're playing a control deck versus like a tempo deck and when you're going to be setting yourself up. But do the uptickies. Yeah, untapping. Lots of mana still available. Basically all the basics here. Oh, we can afford to lose some life. Helps give us access to an extra black source as need be, and maybe we don't have to worry about that silent clearing pinging us down a little bit there. Hey, Bowmaster going to come out again. That's going to get hit with a Spell Snare. No more Bowmaster, and we can't really stop that. Has not entered the battlefield. None of our blinky type effects do anything. But look, there's the Thoughtseize again that we had. Just kidding, we're not playing it. Maybe we are. Okay, there's the Thoughtseize. Now, would it have mattered? This is always the moment of checking. Is like, would it have mattered if we had Thoughtseized? Oh, there's a counter spell here. Is there another blue source? There's not another blue source. So maybe... Oh, no. Well, no, there's not. And it says these are the things we could technically cast. So I guess we could have pitched the subtlety. Like we could have done the... If the Thoughtseize had gone through and you strip away the Spell Snare, maybe the subtlety comes out and puts Bowmaster back on top type deal. But or we just let it resolve and then hit it with a purge or something. Like there's enough answers and responses here to kind of set ourselves up. But all right, a relic is not bad. If we can get into a Ketramos here, that could be useful. I mean, we still have to worry about... Oh, active player turn 0. I know you're looking at it, it's like, that hasn't been 50 minutes. Well, it's been 40 minutes, and we've cut out all the sideboarding time. All the time before the match technically started, where players are getting themselves settled in, shuffling up, rolling dice, doing all that stuff. So there's those couple minutes at the beginning, good probably 4 or 5 minutes for sideboarding. So it's been a little bit. All right, we are at least having a threat, so we can push for damage. Active players turn 0. Means this is turn 1. All right, upticky. We know we can get away with it. There's no mana for another Bowmaster. We've already gotten rid of a bunch of them. And let's kind of bounce, get rid of this, draw another card. All right, lots of mana available to us. All right. 14 to 12 now. We had a little life total swap taking place. Turn 2. So remember, if you haven't gotten 2 turns or time before, because it different depending on what game you're playing. When it comes to Modern, there are 5 turns. All right, technically 6 if you count active player turn 0, but essentially it goes back and forth. Both players get 3 turns. Active player turn 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then whoever wins in those 5 turns is the winner. If neither player wins, then it is a draw. Now, if a player has already won game 1 and they draw in game 2, it counts as a win for the player that has the victor, like the 1-0 stage. So, there's the surgical. It says, I just drew this like right after I use my relic to exile the graveyard. Of course, we draw the surgical, and we're going to hit the counterspell, which actually worked out really well because that was the first counterspell this game, so we get to strip away the rest. But then you look at the amount of stuff left in the deck, it's like, there's not much left, but it's just straight up Planeswalker control right now. At least there's some creatures. There weren't most of the, targeted removal spells, fatal pushes, and things like that wouldn't even help us in this situation. We can't hit Solitude. Solitude costs 5. But you're like, well, I have nothing right now. Uptickies, draw some cards, get more resources. And already swinging in. 6, drop into 6. This is turn 3. So that means that next turn is turn 4, and then on the... basically, it's all locked up here, right? Celestial Purge, 2 Cryptic Commands. We're countering whatever spell gets drawn. We have a Brain Surge, maybe draw into a Terminus or something here, and there we go. That's gonna be it. An Ephemerate there doesn't really help us, so Miracles ends up taking that with the 101 record, but that is enough to count as a win in tournament Magic there. So GG's all around. We get to look a little bit through and see some of the sideboard stuff between these two players as they're kind of going through and doing their discussions. I don't know. It's like in these situations, control decks feel so good when they play against tempo-based decks. Like grindy, let's do it. I love being able to watch and play these sort of grind matches like this. And Vindicate is on the sideboard White Orchid. Okay, so the White Orchids are sideboard sides of things here. So we get to see a little bit more. Yeah, more White Orchids. And the Surgicals. Okay, all right. So a couple couple of cards coming out for both players, like 4 or 5 each, so not too bad. Little bit of extra tools that they can be able to use. But hope you guys enjoyed this little land go, the little bit of grind fest that we got to see for this week. We are going to be having plenty more games coming up every Monday and Thursday. But that's going to do it for us here. Thanks so much for tuning and watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next game.